Advertisers. This program is sponsored by TechTime Radio. Visit them online at techtimeradio.com.
Hey, Mike, guess what?
What?
Mike, raging rivers, hungry bears, drastic avalanches, roaring seas. No matter how prepared you are, a walk in the woods can go from innocent to disaster in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
When pushed to their breaking point, humans are capable of astonishing things that you would never thought of possible.
Yeah.
Listen to In the Wild as they explore the most heroic, terrifying, and phenomenal stories of real people who survived the unsurvivable. Learn what went wrong, what went right, and how you can make it out alive if the worst case ever happened to you. In the Wild podcast reviews on Apple include Love Your Podcast from Laura. It's scary how relentless nature can be. I always enjoy this podcast at work. It keeps me on the edge of my seat. Or how about we go with Hiker 0001? Good stories and good narration. I like when there are sound effects that add to the ambience of the story. In the Wild podcast on Apple Podcasts and everywhere you get your podcast downloads.
Broadcasting across the nation from the East Coast to the West, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side, with leading edge topics, along with special guests to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat. Raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm.
Welcome to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm, the show that makes you go, technology news of the week, the show for the everyday person talking about technology, broadcasting across the nation with insightful segments on subjects weeks ahead of the mainstream media. We welcome our radio audience of 35 million listeners to an hour of insightful technology news. Each week, our show covers the weekly top technology subjects. Without a political agenda, we verify the facts, and we do it with a sense of humor in less than 60 minutes, and of course, with a little whiskey on the side. I'm Nathan Mumm. Welcome to our show today. We live stream during our show on 5 of the most popular platforms, including YouTube, Twitch.tv, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We encourage you to watch us live or visit us online at techtimeradio.com, or you can become a Patreon supporter. We thank those that have joined our Patreon support page. You can visit that at patreon.com/techtimeradio and listen to the show with special features and minus the commercials. This helps the show out. So thank you for that support. You can also tweet us during the show if you want to ask us a question live on the air. All you got to do is do hashtag TechTimeRadio on Twitter. You got to do it soon before Twitter disappears. So make sure you do that, and we'll do our best to respond to your tweet. If you enjoy the show, make sure you give us a 5-star review on whatever podcast service you may use. I'm your host, a technologist with 30 years of technology expertise, working for Fortune 500 companies across the country. My co-host here, Mike Rade, is an award-winning author. Originally from Arizona, Mike's a human behavior expert living in the Seattle area with a master's degree in forensic psychology. Mike is here to keep me from geeking out and providing insight into human behavior and how it interacts with technology. Now, Mr. Gourdet is pretty knowledgeable with technology. You're getting more and more knowledgeable. So soon you're going to just be your own little host show, and you'll talk about technology, eh? Sure. Okay, all right.
Why not?
Okay, all right. Well, we're two friends from different backgrounds, and we bring the best technology show possible every week for our family, friends, and fans to enjoy. Welcome, everyone. Let's start today's show.
Now on today's show.
Today on Tech Time with Nathan Mumm, Twitter is dying. We're going to be talking about this. Twitter is in bad shape.
Are you
right
sure?
Now. Yeah, it's in some bad shape. Now, I hope it recovers because I actually like Twitter and I find it very useful. So I hope it recovers. But we're going to be talking about some very serious.
It's going to go down before Facebook?
Oh, man. If you would have asked me this a year ago.
We should start doing a pool.
Oh, no, because Facebook is already a nosedive. I don't want these two to both to go out of there. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about that. And guess what? Speaking of the same guy that owns Twitter, let's say I have a Tesla app to access my car, which most Tesla owners do. Again? Well, what happens if I go to a vehicle and I can get in someone else's vehicle instead of mine? We're going to talk about this actually happened.
That might be fun.
And we have a whole story about it in our technology fail that you're going to absolutely want to make sure you listen to through the show to get that. Then Amazon opens its low bandwidth sidewalk network to developers. We're going to talk about why I'm concerned about that.
Yeah, we
Plus-
talked about that before.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that even more of what's going on now. Plus, we have a segment on VR, how it's revolutionizing therapy. You got that. And we have Phil Hennessy back on the show. He's going to be talking to us about details regarding the James Webb Space Telescope today on our second part of our mini-series revolving around the details of this technical marvel. Now, we're not going to do any Bugs Bunny jokes or anything like that. Well,
You
maybe
sure?
we will.
All
Yeah.
right.
Okay. In addition,
We're talking about you.
That's right. In addition, we have our standard features, including Mike's mesmerizing moment, This Week in Technology, and a possible Nathan Nugget. I hope so. We get through enough time today. My nugget. Oh, I'm going to go on a rant. I got like 4 nuggets queued up. I don't know which one to go for.
Okay.
So.
Well,
And
find out.
on the great side of things, we have our pick of the day whiskey tasting during the commercials to see if our selected whiskey gets 0, 1, or 2 thumbs up at the end of the show. So sit back, raise a glass, and welcome to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. Now it's time for the latest headlines in the world of technology.
Now on today's show,
All right.
here are our top technology stories of the week.
All right.
Well, that was
Now.
interesting.
Yeah, that was a double whammy.
That was
All
a
right.
double whammy.
All right. Story number 1. Amazon opens its low bandwidth, long range sidewalk network to developers. Let's highlight this with the Amazon press release video of this announcement today.
Amazon Sidewalk uses a variety of wireless technologies, one of which is LoRa. LoRa is a low-power, long-range solution that allows any sidewalk device within range to maintain a network connection. Select devices serving as bridges pool together a tiny portion of internet bandwidth to create one expansive network. Why is that useful? Say you're out of town and you want to remotely turn on your outdoor lights. If your home network connection is lost, so is that communication. But with Amazon Sidewalk, your lights still receive that message using the shared sidewalk network. Additionally, if you drop your keys on your morning run, Sidewalk can alert you of their approximate location. The possibilities are truly endless. With Amazon now opening up Sidewalk to developers, expect to see a growing number of tech aimed at making the world a safer, smarter, and more connected planet.
All right. Did they just say a safer, smarter, and more connected planet?
That's what they said.
Well, they
What-
got one
what are
out
you
of
gonna
3.
say?
They got 1 out of 3 correct. A more connected planet. That's about it. So let's actually look at why this Amazon idea is totally concerning to me. All right. Now, we covered the initial
Yes.
information on this on episode 16. Wow, that's a long time
That
ago.
was how long ago? 3 years?
September 29th, 2020. So that was back in 2020. We covered this specifically when they made the announcement of the sidewalk. Now it's available to the developers. Now, the shared internet, we have a lot of information because they've come on out to the developer stack, so you can actually know what they're actually asking for. They're going to use up to 500 megabits per month of each user's internet account. So if I have a Comcast account, it's going to use 500. My next door neighbor's 500, up to 500. Now, 500 is essentially 10 minutes of a video stream. So that's actually a lot. If you think of that, that's a lot of bandwidth that's just kind of going out there that they're taking from the provider itself. Now, the main problem I have with this is that private internet connection among neighborhood members are a huge privacy concern.
Mhm.
You got to tell me then that essentially someone is going to have access to my internet. So right now I spend a lot of effort and time making sure that I can connect to, and I have Amazon Alexa devices all over my house. I don't mind the actual technology and Google Nest and Blink cameras. So we're Amazon ecosystem connected. Absolutely. But nobody's coming into my network and using my bandwidth right now, unless I have the option to turn on the Sidewalk app, which by default comes on. And we're going to talk about all the devices that Amazon has been essentially selling, where this is automatically default to share.
To share, right?
Yes, to share. Now, the Amazon little ad talks about, well, this is great because if I can't get to my network at my home, I can use my neighbor's network to turn off my lights or to take care of my cameras. Well, if I can't get to my network at home, I have a problem. Someone's probably breaking into my house, or there's a major issue if my next door neighbor's internet is working and my internet is not working, right? I mean, that should be a red flag to anything. So I don't know how this helps make me feel good. And essentially, let's talk about the hackers and vulnerabilities that are going to be out there. Huge. The development group is now going to understand how to develop specifically towards this network. which will then allow them to come on in and piggyback on my internet service provider. Comcast is who I use.
Yeah. What's gonna keep anybody from strolling up and parking up next to my house and using my bandwidth?
It's not. And the thing about it is, on the internet, essentially, my IP address, your internet IP address of the modem that you get, is kind of like my passport and serial number. That is my identity on the web. Every time I go and look for something on the web on Comcast, no matter what it is, even if I'm in incognito mode or any of these other modes, that doesn't do anything to stop the ISP, which is Comcast, to track everything I hit. Every time I go to a website, they have information about what I looked at, what I'm doing, what I'm clicking on, and that's their right to do because I'm paying for their service to track and make sure that my IP address doesn't do anything nefarious, anything that was out there that would cause a problem or anything. Well, what's that?
Are you sure it shouldn't be a Nathan Nugget moment here?
No. So this is still our story. Sorry. So let me just tell you, to safeguard your device, do not turn on the sidewalk. Protect your neighborhood. The problems with the Amazon sidewalk are huge. No one knows what's going on this, and they're not giving any of the information of how they keep their 3-layer security safe, which I'm sure will be breached one of these times sooner than later. So let me tell you, if you have an Echo device, go to the Alexa app on your phone, then go to settings. So if I got an Alexa right now, Alexa, turn off Amazon Sidewalk. You can tell it to do it that way, or you can go into the app, choose on the phone settings account, and make sure you disable Amazon Sidewalk. It's called Amazon Sidewalk. If you have a Ring device, go to the Ring app control panel and find the Amazon Sidewalk toggle and make sure it's disabled. This is what the device shipped with. Essentially, all items that are Ring flood cameras from 2019, Ring spotlights from 2019, Ring camera mount 2019, Echo 3rd generation and newer, Echo Dot 3rd generation and newer, Echo Dot for Kids 3rd generation and newer, Echo Dot with clock 3rd generation and newer, Echo Plus all generations, Echo Show all generations, Echo Spot, Echo Studio, Echo Input, and Echo Flex. All of them by default have Amazon Sidewalk turned on. Turn that off.
So that's going to happen when?
That happened today.
That happened today. So
it happened
I
this
have
morning.
my Alexa app open here.
Okay, you got your Alexa app?
We probably need to move on to another story.
Do you see the Sidewalk app there under settings?
Hang on, I have to get there.
All right, you get there. Well, you got the next story, which is about VR revolution.
Yeah, we'll do this at the break.
Okay, there you go. We'll come back and tell everybody how it worked.
All right. So one of the big questions today is what VR is doing, and I don't like the term revolutionize, but can VR help with therapy?
Okay.
And some of this might be a boon for the therapy industry.
Okay.
So Sam Stokes, a New Zealand-based sales manager, isn't usually an anxious person. This is a case study.
Okay.
But there's one thing that, as he puts it, scares the crap out of him, and that's needles.
Okay.
Are a lot of people, you scared of needles?
No, I'm not, but I know a lot of people are. One of my sons is scared of needles.
Is he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you scared of needles?
Oh no. I watch.
You watch?
When I get shots and stuff, I'm like watching.
I'm seeing them pushing the medicine or take it out with the new suction cups. Yeah. Okay.
At any rate, Stokes overcame his phobia through virtual reality, a buzzy technology that industry giants like Meta and Sony believe could be the future of gaming and online socializing. With Apple expected to announce its first headset this year in 2023, that could be a landmark moment for this technology. Now, what he was doing was probably what's called exposure therapy, which they put him into this virtual reality situation where he's exposed to this phobia based, this fear.
Okay.
And by using the virtual reality to expose him to that, then you start building up sort of a tolerance for it.
So you get used to it.
So you get used to it.
Okay.
And the fear subsides, right? In 2023, despite the pandemic shining a spotlight on stress, anxiety, and burnout, feels like we're still talking about VR's potential as opposed to its impact. We're still far from the world in which strapping on a VR headset to conquer your fear of crowds is as common as calling your therapist before a subway commute. It's not because of technological shortcomings, rather it's the high cost of the equipment that is the real problem here.
Okay, that makes sense.
Dr. Barbara Rothbaum, Associate Vice Chair of Clinical Research at Emory University School of Medicine, said that they thought they'd actually be farther along by now. She conducted a study published in 1995 examining how VR could be used in psychotherapy. She thought that more people would be using it for therapeutic interventions. Of course, we know that that's not the case. Treating phobia seems like a natural application for virtual reality. Boarding a virtual airplane or staring down from the top of a digital skyscraper is much more vivid than imagining it. And again, that's where that exposure piece of the therapy comes in.
That makes sense.
By virtual reality isn't a magic wand for making anxiety and phobias disappear. It's merely another resource therapists can use when providing exposure therapy, which I talked about, the technique that helps people overcome fear by exposing them to fear-inducing stimuli in a safe environment. So,
okay,
that's why I don't like the revolutionize thing.
Okay,
the title,
because it's been out there, but people aren't
revolutionize means that it overtakes and this is
more of a
this is
tool
simply
set.
another tool. There's more. This is another tool for therapists to eventually use, and I think that's a good thing.
Okay,
and that's all I'm going to say about that. In the words of Forrest Gump.
Okay, that's all right. Okay, let's now then move to story number 3. Twitter is dying, and we have an expert.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
We have an expert from Yahoo Business, and they want to share with everyone about this $24 billion sinkhole that Elon Musk has got himself into.
Twitter is apparently worth just half of what Elon Musk paid for it, according to a leaked memo from the company. Since Musk's takeover, the company has seen ad revenue plummet and employee headcount slashed by more than half.
To get to a $250 billion valuation is where he wants to get it eventually. I don't know how you do that at this point.
Like $20 billion is what it's worth now versus the $44 billion.
So it's
well,
almost
he must
in
be
half.
a little PO'd about that.
I think so. You know what? Well, here's what's going wrong with it. Essentially, Twitter has gotten itself in trouble for Elon Musk just kind of being the focal point of it. They also gotten problems just this Monday where essentially we had their code base for how it works was publicly posted on GitHub, which is this developer series. So all of the secrets that you have built into how you make Twitter successful will be available for other individuals. Other things that are causing Twitter to have problems is that they are essentially removing all of those official accounts if you don't decide to pay for it. So all these people have spent years. It's a big deal to be Twitter verified. You have to be a celebrity or you have to spend a lot of time developing that. As of April 1st, what a day to pick for this, right? So as of April Fools, and it's not going to be a fool's joke.
If you have a verified account and you no longer pay for it, you're going to lose that account.
Yeah, it will disappear. $7.99 to keep your account per month, or it goes away.
Wow, that sounds a little like strong arming people, doesn't it?
Yeah, so Elon Musk wants people to display a blue check mark that essentially says they're not verified, but they're paid. The simple truth is that the value of a website can go up when people are using it, and it's very tough to build that upward momentum. But to crash a website and to have people abandon a platform can happen over weeks. It's not overnight, but over weeks where people say, I'm no longer using it. I'm no longer using it. And Twitter has lost half of their registered accounts already. People have decided to close those. So any registered account, any verified account have left the platform. And with this additional cost, people are going to continue to drop. And guess what? If people aren't using it to get your news, I used to love Twitter. It was information, some news facts. It would give me updates on starting lineups for basketball games. It was just like a very factual. Here's who's starting, this person, this person, this person. Here's what's going on. Here's some information. If I wanted to read a larger letter, I could click on a link that was normally attached to the tweet that's there. If you lose your followers and the people that are posting, the platform will die. And Musk better figure it out very quickly. Otherwise, it will.
Well, maybe he should stop tweeting random stuff and start doing stuff that he needs to do.
Yeah, it's the same thing though. Facebook's trying to do their verification too, right? Everybody's trying to get
maybe this is a good sort of social thing.
Where all
apocalypse. It's the social media apocalypse.
We all start back over again.
Yeah, we just get rid of it all and stop doing because some of this stuff is maddening.
Do you know what's interesting is as Twitter continues to fall, the standard text messaging of your phones have increased by over 200%.
How about that?
So you have a technology that you could use to do that.
That's what we usually use.
And you can have group chats.
And guess
you
what?
can have
Nobody's checking out my tweets.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, that ends our top technology stories of the week. Moving on to our next segment. Up next, we have Phil Hennessy back on the show for a multi-part series. This is part 2 about the details of the James Webb Space Telescope. Now, it's the James Webb Space Telescope. If you just call it the James Webb Telescope, then you're not in the lingo. I was calling it that, and Phil corrected me and said, listen, it's the Space Telescope. So I got that. I'll make sure to add the space in front of the telescope so I know exactly what I'm talking about.
That's what you took away from this?
Well, that's what I took it from. He slapped me on Monday telling me there are a couple things I need to do. Yeah, that's what I did. All right, you're listening to Tech Time.
It's better than the Marvin the Martian.
There you go. You're listening to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. We'll be back after these commercial breaks.
Hey, Mike, I'm looking for some help writing our blog post for TechTime Radio.
Well, you should try Phosphor AI. It's an online service that will save you hours of work with your content creation. Simply type in your title, and their AI software will get to work writing a high-quality original article for you. You'll need to review the article and take 15 to 20 minutes to make necessary edits before publishing. But you'll get free articles just for signing up, so you can try out the service and see how it works for you.
How many articles do I get free?
I already said you get 3 free articles. You should listen when I'm talking to you. Phosphor AI pricing is very reasonable for the quality of content that you'll get.
Why waste time writing the content yourself when you get Phosphor AI to do it for you? Visit them online today at Phosphor AI. Again, that's PHOSPHORAI.com.
Welcome back to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. Tech Time is a weekly hour technology show that talks about current technology in a simple format without having to geek out. Brought to you by myself, Nathan Mumm, and Mike Roday. We just had our first whiskey tasting during the break. And let me tell you about what we're sipping in our pick of the day during the show today. We have chosen the Starward Twofold Double Grain Australian Whiskey.
Yeah,
now,
this is good.
This is you're liking it, huh?
Oh, this is very good.
You're like, okay, all right. According to Starward's website, Twofold was our chance to forget compromise to make a whiskey that was affordable and approachable and delicious as we wanted to. We had to tear up the rule book and be a renegade we decided to create a new process. For the palate, imagine a smooth, rich caramel dessert balanced by tropical fruit. Do you taste the tropical fruit?
Oh, yeah.
I do.
It's got a very good fruit taste.
Yeah, the finish is delicate and long, a delicious dry finish from a faded sweetness. Now, this is 2 years aged. Interesting, it's a blend of 2 whiskeys. So 100% wheat whiskey is 60% of the blend, and 100% malted barley is 40%. So they took a full malted barley whiskey, and they mixed it, again, 40% to 60%. with the wheat whiskey to make this flavor.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
I don't really care about that.
You like the taste. It's 80 proof.
It always comes down for me. It's about the taste and the burn.
Okay, 80 proof, $51 a bottle.
Nice.
So Nathan went a little bit out of his pocketbook. Normally is $21 whiskey.
Yeah, Nathan went up a shelf.
I did. I was like, hey,
that wines is more.
You know what? I was all those shelves at the bottom level were already all the ones we've already done. So I said, man, I got to move up now.
Yeah,
all right,
there you go.
Well, that was our whiskey tasting. Hopefully you listen all the way through the show, and we're going to have an opportunity to give it a thumbs up, thumbs down, or sideways thumbs as we take care of it.
Don't do sideways thumbs.
What is that? We don't. I guess we just thumbs up. Now, you have the app on your phone here because you have a Alexa device at home.
Yes.
And what did you find out as I was talking?
I looked at it, and my Amazon Sidewalk was enabled.
It was enabled, and you probably didn't even know that. It just came out today, and it was defaulted last night to enabled. So everybody out there that does not know this, that's why they need to listen to Tech Time Radio, needs to go on out and disable it. Otherwise, right now, the internet is being shared across the network for Amazon to use for their services.
So do you have any opinions about whether or not this will fly and that people will use this? Or
I don't think anybody's going to know about it. I think
that's probably what's going to happen. That's why they do that.
Yep, they're just going to keep on keeping it out there, and then people will just have it, and they'll be like, wow, that's really cool. Now I got a little bit of extended range for my Ring devices and for my Amazon devices, and wow, look at I can be outside, and I never knew the wireless worked this far. Like, yeah, that's because you're taking your neighbors.
Let's talk to Phil.
All right. Okay, today we welcome back Phil in our series that we've been talking about, Space, the Final Frontiers. These are the voyages of Phil Hennessy. His continuing mission to bring details on technology for our Tech Time
You just
listeners.
can't help yourself, can
Phil
you?
is a technology robotic expert and loves to break down technology for the normal person. As we start our Ask the Expert segment with Phil.
Welcome to the segment we call Ask the Experts. Our Tech Time Radio expert, Phil Hennessy.
All right, Phil, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Phil.
Thank you, guys.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Okay, hang on. Okay, let me tell you, you got the clicker going. The clicker. Now, I will tell you, we had a stream of people that said, "What is going on with your radio show?" There's a clicking noise in the back. So we talked about this off the air. You're gonna have to put the pen down. All right, you can. There you go. Hands clear for the rest of the episode.
Put some whiskey in that hand.
There you go.
Right here. Here we go, guys. Right here. Here we go.
All right. Today we're going to be doing a cosmic time travel. I feel a little bit like Marty McFly.
No.
Oh, absolutely. And our Doc Brown on this subject is coming to us on the StreamYard stream. Phil is going to be there. All right. Today we're going to discuss the incredible engineering behind the James Webb Space Telescope instruments and how they see far back in time. So we're going to talk about how you can see back in time with this telescope.
Just by looking at a star, you're looking back in time.
Okay, well, hang on. Don't be ruining it. There we go. We got what? Gordon, sorry. Okay, all right. Okay.
Sorry. I didn't want to mess that up for all you Marty McFly and Doc Brown fans.
Okay, so explain a little bit about this as Mike decided to destroy our secret.
Yeah.
How does this process work when we actually kind of look back in time?
Right.
Explain why we say
Mike,
that.
To Mike's point, exactly. When we're looking at stars, starlight, and out up in space, we're seeing the lights been transmitted many eons ago, and the way these instruments that we're going to talk about for James Webb have been designed, we can see further back in time. So Hubble took us so far back, and James Webb's take us even further back to see than we could before. So we're actually, when we're viewing what we're viewing from James Webb's views, we can see extremely far back in time, further than Hubble, is what we're going to be talking about today.
Okay, all right. Well, we're excited to learn more about the JWST. That's my abbreviation for the James Webb Space Telescope. Let's start by comparing its predecessor, the Hubble Space Telescope. Can you tell us about the differences in the detection capabilities?
Sure. With the Hubble, it was designed to more on the optical side of light, meaning it can see what we can see with our eyes, and that it can see galaxy evolution. It can see different planets out there, exoplanets, other things like that. Whereas the Webb was designed more with infrared technology to see further back. We'll talk about how that's possible. Whereas the Hubble has a 2.4 meter diameter, smaller diameter mirror than the James Webb, which is 6.5 meters in diameter. So the James Webb can see 100 times fainter than what Hubble can see, 100 times. So the James Webb can see reaching back to about 180 million years after the Big Bang, where the Hubble is about 400 million years after the Big Bang. And so put it in perspective, what they're thinking is the earliest stars formed around 100 to 180 million years after the Big Bang. So Hubble can see the very earliest star formations, and the James Webb Space Telescope is able to and can do that.
Okay. All right. So now the James Webb has something here as a side note that we talked about that can see through dust and gas that the Hubble could not. So why is that really important to be able to see through the dust and gas? What makes a difference in those areas, since that's kind of a big selling point on their information?
Sure. So basically it's with our infrared light, which is a different part of the spectrum of light. It is really long wavelengths. It's the wavelength that produces heat. If you put your hand near a fire or something, you're feeling heat, right? That is the longer wavelengths, and that's what we can detect with Hubble. And with that is longer wavelengths, which I didn't know this either until the research, is that the longer wavelengths, they actually are able to penetrate different space phenomena much easier. So you can see the light that comes through it. So it allows these longer wavelengths to actually penetrate dust and other debris that we can see as part of the James Webb.
Okay, so why does the James Webb detect objects that absorb infrared energy? So the whole infrared, explain why is that so important for infrared versus what the older telescope used to do?
Sure. So what the James Webb can do for scientists, they want to understand, say, what an exoplanet, what type of atmosphere that the planet has. Well, how do you do that? Well, we only have light to look at to be able to see. So what this is interesting is they have ways through detecting with light to understand chemical composition. So what they do is when the planet goes past the sun, the atmosphere will absorb certain spectrum of the light. Okay. And so when you get that absorbing of that light, then they can detect what was absorbed. So it's the gaps in the spectrum, and then they can relate that to chemical composition. So they can figure out what kind of gases are in the atmosphere.
So does that mean, like, is it easier to detect oxygen planets versus non-oxygen planets? Is that what
exactly? That's that kind of stuff. Exactly. Yes.
So if you want to, so
exactly.
if you want to find a planet where you could have additional life on there, kind of like Vulcan.
Oh no.
Where they have another planet that allows.
That's a whole.
Mike, did I say that? I don't think I said that. Did I say that, Mike?
It detects elements and how they reflect.
Okay. All right. I had to do my Star Trek in there. Okay. All right. Now, so that's fascinating to talk about. Now, what are the instruments on this? So there's like 4 big instruments that they have that we've talked about a little bit on last week's show. So explain, we ran out of time. Tell me what these instruments are and what makes them unique versus what we've had previously for like the Hubble.
Sure. So say this 4 times fast. The near infrared camera, the near infrared spectrograph, the mid infrared instrument, and the fine guidance sensor near infrared imager slitless spectrograph.
Man, that's why technology people come out with algorithms, right? And shorting words with those big long names.
Are you talking about? You're not talking about algorithms.
No, I'm talking
acronyms.
About acronyms. Sorry,
and you're all over the board today.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right. Here we go. Okay, dive into them. Let's talk about these 4.
Do some spectrographs of your head right now.
Okay. All right. So basically, like with the infrared light, we can see the universe that's normally hidden, like so our stars being born, and we're going to go there, and galaxies far, far away, right? Okay. So
all right, there you go.
There we go. So near cam is like the telescope's super powered camera, and it can take incredibly detailed pictures. It's the primary camera for the primary mirror, and it's so powerful. Put in perspective, it can see a bumblebee on the moon. That small, that far. It's just freaking powerful. And so the near spec is a spectrograph. It does chemical analysis. So what is that? It's a detective. And what that can do is, again, it breaks down that light we were talking about from distant stars and galaxies into their colors. And then it can tell us what elements it's made of. So we can detect, again, atmosphere, or if it's iron or other chemicals and those types of things. Where the MIRI is the mid-infrared, so the near cam's cousin. It works in the mid-infrared range, and so that's can see through the cosmic dust we were just talking about. So the longer wavelengths, it can see through that dust, and it can tell us a little bit more about, again, how stars and planets form. So we can see the penetration as we're having that big cloud of gas and dust, what's going on behind it, behind the scenes. And then the FGS NIRISS is basically our GPS system. So how does the telescope orient where it is? And sometimes it has to stay on station on a galaxy or a star or a target for multiple hours or days. So it has usually a guidance system that then will target a specific target star that it knows it needs to lock onto while it's taking that picture. So basically it can go ahead and then understand where it is pointing at, and then stay there for hours at a time, days at a time, staring into space. And it also has another spectrograph that can do multiple objects at one time, taking chemical analysis. So it can do that as well. And all these instruments need to work again at a temperature of minus 387 degrees Fahrenheit. And any heat coming off the spacecraft can upset the results of the telescope's instruments. So that's why everything has to be so cool and cold that we talked about last week.
And they have air conditioning units on there, right? To keep the stuff cool.
On the MIRI specifically, the MIRI has its own cooler. Besides having this crazy sun shield and staying in the shadow of the sun, like we talked about, then has this crazy sun shield, which is like equivalent to an SPF of 1,000,000 or something like that.
Dude, it's an awesome technological beer koozie.
That's exactly right.
Exactly.
So this is what gets me. This reminds me, this telescope, of a little bit of an Apple product. And man, I can go off on Apple right now and on some repair stuff that I did. But the Hubble telescope, you're able to, if there was an issue with it, you were able to send somebody it up and get it repaired, right, Phil?
Yes, correct. The Hubble, you can go up and repair it, where this thing is 930,000 miles up in the L2 orbit we talked about last time.
And there's nothing you can do to fix it. So if it goes bad, you're kind of stuck. So you're kind of stuck going back to the manufacturer saying, "Hey,
you better check those warranties." Buddy.
That's right. You better
and that's again what I think is so amazing about this is the time it took and the money it took. I mean, everything had to work flawlessly. If anything didn't work, if they didn't deploy anything correctly, you might not even have an operational telescope, space telescope at this point.
Wow. All right. Well, that ends our segment here. We're going to talk next week, though, and finish up this segment. I want to find out, what have we actually seen with this telescope? Okay, so now we got through all the great details of it. It's got these 4 instruments. We can see bumblebees on the moon. What are we actually getting from having that telescope out there? Is it tracking Saturn so it can see certain stuff on there?
We're seeing really cool things.
Is it tracking Elon Musk's car he sent to space? Can they still see that?
No, I don't think it cares about Elon Musk.
I don't think it does. Not a lot of people do right now. Okay, so great. So we're gonna have you back next week to finish that up. How's that sound, Phil?
That sounds great. No, it's amazing what it's found so far. I'm excited to come back and talk about some of those things. And then I might just drop a couple hints of what they're already having the drawing board for replacement of the JWST.
Okay, that'd be cool too. All right, that sounds good. Okay, all right. Well, that ends our segment, Ask the Expert with Phil. Up next, we have This Week in Technology. So now would be a great time to enjoy a little whiskey on the side. We'll be doing so during the break. You're listening to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm. See you in a few minutes.
This is Mark
and Greg
for Copiers Northwest
with a terrific offer
called Printer Care Plus.
It's simple. Buy HP printer cartridges from Copiers Northwest and we'll service your current printers for free.
That sounds too good to be true.
It's made possible due to our HP Copiers Northwest relationship.
Copiers Northwest is an HP Platinum partner,
one of only 2 in the entire Northwest.
And now with Printer Care Plus,
Copiers Northwest will provide free printer service
as long as they purchase genuine HP cartridges from Copiers Northwest.
That's right. IT departments no longer have to service printers
or fix paper jams with Printer Care Plus.
They can focus on more strategic initiatives
and let our experienced technicians keep their HP printers up and running.
Sounds like a love-love relationship for IT departments.
Don't get too carried away. So how do they get more details on Printer Care Plus?
Call Copiers Northwest today, 206-282-1200, or visit copiersnw.com.
Copiers Northwest. New ideas, new solutions.
And now, let's look back at this week in technology.
All right. We're going to go all the way back to March 27, 1884. 1884. That's a little bit ago. Guess what? That was the day the very first long-distance phone call happened. The first truly long-distance telephone call was made by Alexander Graham Bell to his assistant, Mr. Watson, from Boston to New York. The call lasted 90 minutes before the line failed. However, this call was done as an experiment using copper wire instead of galvanized iron. Spanning a distance of 235 miles for an experimental call, its success proved the feasibility of using copper wiring and opening it the possibilities of long-distance telephone service across the nation, which eventually spread out to the country and the world. That was This Week in Technology. Have you ever wanted to watch some Tech Time history? With over 2 years of video podcasts and blog information, you can visit techtimeradio.com to watch our older shows or join our Tech Timers Facebook group to talk with us live all the time on Facebook. We're going to take a commercial break here. When we return, we have the Mark Mumble Whiskey Review and our Technology Fail of the Week, along with a Nathan Nugget planned. We'll see you after the break.
Hello, my name is Arthur, and my life's work is connecting people with coffee. Story Coffee is a small batch specialty coffee company that uses technology to connect people to each product resource, which allows farmers to unlock their economic freedom. Try our Medium Roast Founder Series coffee, which is an exotic bourbon variety that is smooth, fresh, and elegant at storycoffee.com. That's STORI coffee.com. Today you can get your first bag free when you subscribe at storycoffee.com with code TechTime. That's STORI coffee.com.
The segment we've been waiting all week for. Mark's Whiskey Mumble.
Well, it's March 28th today, and guess what today is?
What is today?
National Hot Tub Day.
National Hot Tub?
National Hot Tub Day.
The Hot Tub Time Machine Day or a National Hot Tub Day?
No, you were really into the movie references this week, right?
I've been watching some movies this weekend. Okay, there you go. Sorry.
This is National Hot Tub Day. It's best day to love your hot tub with a little whiskey on the side. You have a hot tub?
I have a hot tub. That's inside. That's inside in
a storage room.
In a storage room, yeah.
Did you clean it up?
No. I hate hot tubs. What happens is you get in a hot tub, it's good for like first 4 or 5 minutes, and then your body just like heats up, and you're like, I feel like I'm just cooking in there like a rotisserie chicken, and I gotta get out. I only get in there for about 5 minutes tops, and I am like jet out. I'm not.
You're one of the most boring people at the party, aren't you?
I am absolutely. Okay. Well, I'll hang out in the pool area. The pool area is where more of the people hang out than the hot tub, right? Maybe.
Depends.
Okay.
Depends on what you're doing, especially if you're, using it for a time machine.
Okay, there you go. Tell us a little bit about this great whiskey.
All right. So we're talking about Starward two-fold double grain Australian whiskey. Originating from Melbourne, Australia, this 2-grain whiskey is aged in Australian red wine barrels. They select barrels from nearby vineyards, making bold Aussies reds like Shiraz, Cabernet, and Pinot Noir. These impart fruit, caramel, and spice notes to the spirit to keep as much of a fresh red wine flavor profile as possible. They source barrels from just a day's drive away. They either lightly char or quickly blast barrels with steam. Many are still wet with wine when they fill them with the whiskey, contributing to both the flavor and the hue of the whiskey. For Mark, this is not one that he would add to his bar, especially for the price. His reasoning is that it's too young with a grain forward note, low proof, and smooth, which means no character or flavor.
Wow. No character or flavor. Man, I can tell you already, this bottle, I'm glad I bought this because this is going to go home and this one will disappear on my shelf after a couple weeks. I guarantee you that.
I don't doubt that one iota.
There you go. All right. Mark, thank you for that mumble. As we move on in the show, let's get ready for our Technology Fail of the Week, brought to you by Elite Executive Services, experts to help you out with your technology fail.
We are out of time. Congratulations. You're a failure.
Oh, I failed. Did I?
Yes.
Did I?
Yes.
Did I?
Yes.
All right, this week's technology fail comes to us from Tesla. There's nothing quite like getting into your car and feeling that something's off, only to realize I did that once when my car got broken into. I got in there and I'm like, what's going on? I normally have papers over here.
Have you ever gone out into a parking lot and went up to a car that looks like yours and you're like jiggling the handle and wonder why the stupid car wasn't working?
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Because I have a bunch of Ford Focuses and they all look the same, don't they? So, okay. All right. So have you ever gotten into somebody else's car by mistake? Well, last week, one Tesla owner went even further when they realized a glitch that seemingly allowed them to not only enter someone else's car, but also drive it all over town. Now, the consultant, Rashi Rendev, was in a rush to pick up his white Tesla Model 3 on March 7th. He used the Tesla app to open the door, got in the car, and drove away. As he drove to pick up his children from school, he noticed an unfamiliar crack in the windshield and, of course, called his wife to see how it happened. His wife was unaware of the damage, and he couldn't find his cell phone charger either. Shortly afterward, he got a concerning text that told him he was driving the wrong car. As it turned out, the white Tesla Model 3 has been parked next to another near identical car. Using the Tesla app, Rondev was able to unlock his own car. Instead, for the reason the app reportedly allowed him to unlock the different Tesla and drive it away. Similarities between the vehicles meant he didn't realize the mistake until he was contacted by the owner of the other vehicle. So the other owner comes on out, and he gets into the other car. Since his Tesla's not there.
We don't know.
No, we do. We're going to find out. Yeah, so he gets in his next door, he gets into his buddy's car, or not buddies because they don't know each other. The other one's already driven away. And so this guy's driving all around town, and this other guy gets into his other car. All right, the owner had managed to find his phone number from a document in his car. So he had papers. So he was like me. He had papers in there, and he's like, what the heck?
Who is this guy?
Who's this guy? Upon parking and getting out of the vehicle, they noticed that the wheels were different from his own vehicle, and he was indeed driving someone else's car. Quoted as saying, I was surprised how I was able to drive someone else's car by mistake for an hour and a half while his car.
That's a little ridiculous.
His car keys were still in his hand. So his car keys were in his hand, but he didn't ever use it because he uses the app to open the door, the app to start the car, because it's a automatic start and open the car when you get into it.
Don't you have to have the keys with the fob with?
Yeah, but they're close enough, right? Because he's close enough. If you're right in there, they must have a radius that's a little larger than it should have been. So he gets on in. It sees the car in front of him as, hey, okay, this is okay to get into the thing. He was able to re-enter the vehicles. They both met up. They texted each other. They both met it, and they were both able to re-enter the vehicles after parking and driving it to the proper owners. The two men were able to laugh about the situation and notified the police to make a report on the matter, with no action taken by the police regarding the honest mistake.
I don't know why they would have to call the police for that, but
I think they probably did just in case. I don't know, because Tesla is probably tracking. The Tesla app offers various functionalities to owners, including the ability to unlock and start the vehicle. It also offers features for climate control and monitoring charging progress. The app is supposed to be paired directly with only one individual vehicle, making it unclear how they were both able to drive each other's different car. Now, they both contacted Tesla regarding the matter, but did not receive any comments from Tesla, which does not maintain a public relations department.
Yeah, they probably told them that no customer information was
ever leaked out.
The
Tesla app was allowed to unlock the wrong car. They were able to test the bug when they came on back hours later. If you're a Tesla owner, keep your eyes peeled out in the parking lot to make sure you're getting into the right car. Or better yet, if you don't get into the right car, make sure you film it and send it to me. And we'll split the millions of YouTube views that we would get.
What if I get a Tesla app and just go walk around random and see if I can open up somebody else?
I don't. I'm sure that they addressed it after this issue.
Now that Sidewalk is open, I can use somebody else's bandwidth to steal somebody else's.
That's perfect. That's exactly awesome. All right, we're going to head out to our last commercial break. When we return, we still have Mike's mesmerizing moment, brought to you by Story Coffee, and a possible Nathan Nugget. Absolutely. So sit back, raise a glass. You're listening to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm.
How to See a Man About a Dog. It combines darkly comic short stories, powerful poems, and pulp fiction prose to create a heartbreaking and hilarious journey readers will not soon forget. Read How to See a Man About a Dog, collected writings, for free with Kindle Unlimited. Ebook available on Kindle, print copies available on Amazon The Bookpository, and more.
This is Mike's mesmerizing moment, presented by Story Coffee. Visit storycoffee.com.
All right, Mike, here's my question to you.
What's your question?
When did you last push the boundaries of your comfort zone? And should you stay in your comfort zone, or should you continuously push to be outside your comfort zone?
Oh, you sound like you want a life coach.
Well, I don't know if I want a life coach, but I wanted to bring it home here with your.
Let's talk about coach. So, human beings we're wired, to stay in our comfort zone. Okay. It's called economy of motion and energy conservation. Right. So when you look at lions on the plains, they spend a lot of time laying around, and then they go hunt, and then they eat and lie around.
They
So
come on back. Sometimes they're in trees.
They're in their economy. They're in their energy conservation mode. That's kind of what we do. We do that all the time. We find what's comfortable and then we stay there. We don't like to move out of our comfort zone.
Okay.
Now, in certain situations, that's okay, because why should I want to be out of my comfort zone for certain things? Now, when we talk about productivity or engaging our brains and learning new things, we have to come out of our comfort zone to do that. So the problem is overcoming the pain of that situation, because anytime we push the boundaries, we're creating pain. And because we are essentially animals with higher consciousness, we don't like doing that. You see what I mean? So there's this sort of genetic imperative that we hang out in our comfort zone.
Okay.
Pushing through our comfort zone, or that's a buzzword in today's coaching industry, staying in your comfort zone.
So when's the last time you pushed out?
I'm always pushing somewhere.
Okay.
I think the most recent one would be returning to dating.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
So that's pushing a comfort zone, because you get used to not doing that.
Okay.
I have a goal of learning the cello. So
Oh,
I got a
okay.
cello. Now I
Okay.
have to find somebody to teach me how to play the cello. So that's moving out of my comfort zone.
Cool. Cool. All right. Well, that was Mike's mesmerizing moment. Let's move now into our Nathan Nugget.
This is your Nugget of the Week.
I feel like you rushed through that just so you could get to this.
I do. Okay. So Netflix released 40 games last year, and they're going to release another 40 games in 2023. Did you know Netflix has video games?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay. So let me... Neither does anybody else.
Yeah,
the streaming giant is having problems in their in-house gaming studio.
That's because it's dumb.
Well, so here's what you have to do. First of all, you got to have an iOS running 15 or later for iPhone or iPad. If you have an Android, you need 8.0 or later for your OS on there, which means you have to have a new device. Then what you have to do is you have to load the Netflix app on that mobile device.
Okay.
You can't load it on your television to play it on this big screen. You have to load it on this.
So this is for mobile. This is for mobile games.
Well, they say it's for all platforms, but clearly it's very difficult to have you then broadcast up to a television with lag. Then you have to go into the Netflix app and look for a subcategory called End Games. Once you find the End Games for Netflix games, you then have to individually download that into your profile as a separate app. So essentially, it creates an icon. You don't have to pay for it. But every single time you launch that app, it then relaunches it and makes you put in your password for Netflix. So instead of just like I go into the iOS phone or Google Play Store and I download an app, Words with Friends or any of these type of apps that you have, I don't have to re-log in back to Apple or re-log in back to something else to play the game, which you have to do with Netflix.
Yeah, I can do the same thing with free-to-play games. If I'm waiting for a doctor's appointment or something, I can do
so Netflix is not going to make it if they make it this
I don't
difficult.
think that, I don't see to think they're really all trying that hard.
Okay, I don't.
It's just kind of dumb.
So don't.
I mean, hell,
yeah,
I've got all kinds of games at home.
Yeah,
that I can play if I want to on my big screen TV. So why would I whip out my phone and my nice comfy lazy boy and be like, oh, Netflix, awesome, thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
especially when they're going to go, hey, we saw you like this, maybe you want to watch that or see this. Or
that's right. Okay, now
go away, Netflix.
All right, let's get to our pick of the day.
Okay.
And now our pick of the day for our whiskey tastings. Let's see what bubbles to the top.
All right, we got the Starward Twofold Double Grain Australian Whiskey, 80 proof, $51 a bottle. According to everything that I'm looking at here, this is a big win for me. I like this whiskey. I think it has a nice taste. I think it's smooth enough. I know that Mr. Gregoire may not have it on his top shelf type of deal, but this is actually going to be on my middle to top level shelf. I'm giving this a big thumbs up.
Yeah, I don't think we have to talk about what I already gave it. So.
What are you going to give it?
I gave it a thumbs up already. I gave it a thumbs up 2 commercials ago.
All right, perfect. All right, that sounds good. Odie is abstaining from drinking today, so I guess we just have a 2 thumbs up day, which makes it okay to worry about. All right. Well, we're almost out of time here.
You sure?
I think so. We got 1 minute left. Is that right? Okay. We want to thank our listeners.
Maybe you should go off on something else.
I go off on Apple support. Let me just tell you, Apple support is the word. I don't have so much time to explain that. Let me just tell you that. That's
you don't have enough time, or
no.
Okay.
I needed 45 minute show just to cover that. Maybe you should check out our website, and I'm going to put up a blog where I put a camera in front of me and just go off on all the time I've been spending.
You can tell them how awesome Netflix games are. Have you played any Netflix games?
No. Why the heck would I load it 15 different times?
You should get out of your comfort zone.
Okay. All right. Well, we're about out of time. Listeners, if you want to talk back to us, go visit techtimeradio.com and click on the top right-hand corner, be a caller. And you can actually ask us a question. We'll play it on the air as our talk back, as long as it's okay to play on the air.
Yeah, get out of your comfort zone and call us.
All right. Remember, the science of tomorrow starts with the technology of today. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on Tech Time Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment today in technology. The fun doesn't stop there. We recommend that you go to techtimeradio.com and join our fan list for the most important aspect of staying connected and winning some really great monthly prizes. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service, from Apple to Google and everything in between. We're also on YouTube, so check us out on youtube.com/techtimeradio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at Tech Time Radio, remember, Mumm's the word. Have a safe and fantastic week.